Namaskar and welcome to Sansad Television. I am Vishal Dahiya and you're watching the news. Let's begin with the headlines first. Lok Sabha takes up Criminal Procedure Recognition Bill, passes Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2020 related to Tripura, discussion on Finance Bill in Rajya Sabha. West Bengal Assembly witnesses heated exchanges over Birbhum violence. 5 BJP MLAs including Shubhendu Adhikari suspended. Pramod Sawant takes over as Goa Chief Minister for the second time. Prime Minister, Union Ministers and Chief Ministers of BJP-ruled states attend the oath-taking ceremony. Russia-Ukraine talks in Turkey. Kiev emphasizes peace without delay. President Zelensky says his country is prepared to become politically neutral. And Coda, bigger winner on Oscars night. Will Smith and Jessica Chastain get Best Actor and Actress. Dune gets 6 awards. Indian film Writing with Fire fails to make the cut. Let's now move on to some more quick news from here onwards. Free trade agreement between India and UAE to come into force from May 1st. Amarnath Yatra to commence from 30th June. Online registration from 11th of April. Defence Ministry signs contract with GSL for 8 fast patrol vessels for Indian Coast Guard. President to confer Padma Awards on late Kalyan Singh, Victor Banerjee and 72 others. IMD predicts heat wave in several northern and western states for next 3 days. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and other MLAs take oath in Uttar Pradesh Assembly. 8 deemed to be universities keen to use common university entrance test, says UGC chairman. Governor accepts Chief Minister Nitish Kumar's recommendation of Mukesh Sahni's removal from the Bihar cabinet. Taliban orders airlines in Afghanistan to stop unaccompanied women from flying. South Korea pledges to develop more powerful means of attack to modernize its arsenal. Let's now move on to some news from the Parliament. The government on Monday introduced a bill in the Lok Sabha to provide legal sanction to the police to take physical and biological samples of convicts and people accused of crimes. Dubbing the measure illegal and unconstitutional, opposition members forced a vote on the introduction of the Criminal Procedure Identification Bill. The move was defeated with 120 members voting in favour of introduction of the bill, while 58 members were against it. Union Minister of State Ajay Mishra dismissed the apprehensions voiced by the members. He asserted that the move was required to make provisions for the use of modern techniques to capture and record appropriate body measurements. The bill defines measurements to include finger impressions, palm print and footprint impressions, photographs, iris and retina scan, physical, biological samples and their analysis as well.
जो पुराना अधिनियम मौजूदा है, जो इस समय प्रभावी है, वो 102 वर्ष पूर्व स्वतंत्रता से पहले 1920 में बनाया गया था और उसमें केवल फिंगरप्रिंट और फुटप्रिंट को लेने की ही सहमति उस अधिनियम के द्वारा दी गई थी। अभी दुनिया में बहुत सारे परिवर्तन आए हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी बढ़ी है, वैज्ञानिक प्रक्रियाएं बढ़ी हैं और पूरी दुनिया में जो अपराधियों को और अपराध करने का ट्रेंड बढ़ा है, उसके अनुसार इसको विस्तारित करने की आवश्यकता थी।
The government believes that without the development of tribals and tribal areas, there can't be holistic development in the country. Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda said this in Lok Sabha. The minister was replying to the discussion on the Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2022 related to Tripura. Reiterating the government's commitment to the development of tribes, he said the government is seeking tribal development on all the parameters of Human Development Index. After the minister's reply, the lower house approved the bill by voice vote.
माननीय सदस्यों को ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि सरकार संवेदनशील है ऐसे मामले को और इसलिए आज ये डारलोंग कम्युनिटी जो कुकी का सब कास्ट के रूप में लाया गया है उसको सदन में हमने प्रस्तुत किया है। मेरा आग्रह है, वैसे सभी ने इसका सपोर्ट किया है, सभी जितने भी माननीय सदस्य हैं सभी ने सपोर्ट किया, मैं उन लोगों का आभारी हूँ।
Members of various parties took part in the discussion on Finance and Appropriation Bill 2022 in Rajya Sabha. Speaking on cryptocurrency, BJP MP from Bihar, Sushil Kumar Modi, urged the Finance Minister to consider imposing more than 30% tax on it in coming times. Congress MP P. Chidambaram said the Modi government should implement the direct tax code at the earliest to make it simple for taxpayers. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is expected to reply to the discussion on Tuesday, after which the bill will be returned to Lok Sabha.
टेलीफोन पर लोगों को बैंकों से पैसा दिया जाता था, पैरवी के आधार पर दिया जाता था। इसलिए 2008 में जहां 25 लाख करोड़ की बैंकों की लेंडिंग थी, वो 6 साल में बढ़कर 68 लाख करोड़ उसकी लेंडिंग हो गई। नरेंद्र मोदी जी की सरकार बनते ही हमने एसेट क्वालिटी रिव्यू की कमेटी बनाई, इसका रिव्यू किया और एनपीए को आइडेंटिफाई करना शुरू किया।
In 2013-14, after about 3-4 years, I think it's about 2009-10, for the first time, direct taxes revenue as a proportion of GDP exceeded the indirect tax revenue. And in 2013-14, when the previous government demitted office and the new government took over, the numbers are 5.6% of GDP was direct tax and 4.4% of GDP was indirect tax.
The Birbhum district violence issue that claimed 8 lives in West Bengal saw heated scenes in the State Assembly today. BJP members demanded a statement by Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on what they call the breakdown of law and order situation in the state. They also sought their resignation. Heated exchanges broke out between TMC and the BJP over the issue. 5 BJP MLAs, including Leader of Opposition Shubhendu Adhikari, were suspended from the House. Adhikari demanded the intervention of the central government on the prevailing situation in the state.
हाँ, यहाँ बंगाल में जो हालत है इसमें सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को इंटरवेंशन चाहिए। 356 और 355 दे विल डिसाइड, लेकिन सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को कुछ ना कुछ करना चाहिए।
Pramod Sawant takes oath as Goa CM. Now, 3-time MLA Pramod Sawant took oath as Goa Chief Minister for the second time. Governor P.S. Sridharan Pillai administered the oath of office at a ceremony at Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Stadium near Panji. Sawant took oath in Konkani. Under his leadership, the BJP won 20 seats in the 40-member assembly.
पूर्ण गोवा 2.0 आगे बढ़ेगा। एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन के ऊपर भर दिया जाएगा, पर्यटन के ऊपर भर दिया जाएगा। माइनिंग एक्टिविटी के फिर रीस्टार्ट करने के लिए हमारी कोशिश रहेगी कि फिर से एक बार माइनिंग एक्टिविटी स्टार्ट हो जाए, यानी कि एम्प्लॉयमेंट जनरेशन खूब बड़ी मात्रा से हो जाए।
Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Monday stressed the need to rebuild, reorganize and rebuild the health systems for the post-pandemic era. In a video message, he appealed for efforts to strengthen India's health infrastructure. The Vice President underscored that the pandemic taught us many valuable lessons related to the limitations of our healthcare system. He called upon the efforts to use this experience to reimagine a resilient healthcare system for the post-COVID era.
India cannot be achieved by only state-led single-point solutions. With the diversity and scale of our healthcare demands, we need to improve all stakeholders, involve them, improve their participation. Public-private partnership should be strengthened further. This is the time to come together to rebuild, restructure, reinvent, and improvise our healthcare systems for the post-pandemic era of the 21st century.
And time now for some more news from across the country. President Ramnath Kovind will present the National Water Awards to various states, districts, panchayat and schools for water resource management on Tuesday. There will be 57 awards in 11 categories instituted by the Department of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation. Prime Minister Modi will attend the Grih Pravesh ceremony of about 5,21,000 beneficiaries under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Gramin in Madhya Pradesh through video conference on Tuesday. He will also address a public meeting on the occasion. Delhi Speaker Ramanivas Goyal suspended 3 BJP MLAs for the day for alleged derogatory remarks against Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. The Aam Aadmi Party demanded a censure motion in the matter. The three-day Chitra Bharati Film Festival concluded in Bhopal. Union Minister L. Murugan presented awards to film directors in 5 categories. 120 films were screened at this film festival. The Ranchi CBI court sentenced Jharkhand's Congress leader Bandhu Tirki to rigorous imprisonment of 3 years and imposed a fine of 3 lakh rupees in a disproportionate assets case. Tirki has allegedly made illegal deposits of 6.28 lakh as a minister in 2005 to 2009. Security forces arrested 2 terrorists of the Lashkar-e-Taiba in Budgam district of Jammu and Kashmir. Incriminating material, arms and ammunition, including a pistol, were reportedly recovered from them. After 2 years, 10th and 12th examinations started on Monday in offline mode in Uttarakhand. 2,42,000 candidates appeared for the examination in 1,333 examination centres across the state. 10th standard board exams also started in Karnataka from Monday. About 8,73,000 students appeared in the examinations. The board was instructing students to follow the High Court order on the dress code. 1 person was killed and 56 people were injured when a minibus crashed in Nowshera, Rajouri region of Jammu and Kashmir. 4 seriously injured people were shifted to Jammu. And time now for some news from the business and economy world. Fear of another supply chain disruption due to the lockdown in major Chinese cities kept Asian markets on edge on Monday. However, some bonuses focused on the drop in oil prices and imminent round of Russia-Ukraine peace talks as well. Overall sentiment was mixed in Asian markets. Hang Seng was up 1.31% and closed at 21,685. Singapore's Straits Times was also up 0.5%. However, Taiwan weighted ended trade with a loss of 0.9% and Nikkei was also down 0.75%. The Indian markets woke up to a break of a 3-day-long losing spree after a jittery opening. Domestic benchmark indices sharply reversed losses. Selected buying in banking, auto and infrastructure stocks took the market into green territory. Now, Bombay Stock Exchange's Sensex, after opening with the gain of 231 points at 57,593 was the closing mark for the National Stock Exchange Nifty 50. It also gained 60 points and closed at 17,222. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met Sri Lanka's Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa today. The foreign minister's visit came at a time when Sri Lanka is going through a major economic and energy crisis due to lack of foreign exchange. India has extended a line of credit of $500 million to meet the day-to-day procurement needs. Last month, the Sri Lankan government decided to buy 40,000 tons of petrol and an equal amount of diesel from IOC. Apart from the bilateral talks with top leaders of Sri Lanka, S. Jaishankar will also participate in the 7-member BIMSTEC summit. Sri Lanka is the current chair of the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multilateral Technical and Economic Cooperation Group. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend this summit through digital medium on 30th of March. Some news from the Russia-Ukraine conflict first. Amidst the ongoing war with Russia, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has said his country is prepared to consider declaring neutrality and offering Russia security guarantees, including a nuclear-free status. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State has clarified that White House does not have a strategy of regime change in Russia.
Государств, мы готовы на него идти. Это самый главный пункт. Это был первый принципиальный пункт для Российской Федерации, насколько я помню.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky on Sunday told independent Russian news media that his country was ready to go for security guarantees and neutrality and a non-nuclear status as well. However, he added that Russian President Vladimir Putin would have to meet him face-to-face in order to find an agreement to end the conflict. Zelensky also said that Ukraine was ready for compromise on the eastern Donbas region, which has been partially controlled by Russia-backed separatists since 2014. These latest remarks come as Ukraine and Russia said ceasefire negotiations would resume on Tuesday. Earlier, talks have failed to make progress on ending the war, which has claimed the lives of thousands of people and driven more than 10 million Ukrainians from their homes. Bureau Report, Sansad TV. Local residents in areas of Luhansk region controlled by Ukraine say they are struggling without food, water and utilities. Meanwhile, head of the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic, LPR, said it plans to build a referendum soon on becoming part of Russia.
After a month of heavy fighting, the Ukraine government-controlled area in Luhansk region is facing a humanitarian crisis. Local residents say they are facing severe shortage of food, water and utilities. Region Civil Military Administration officials say humanitarian aid has been received, but many places were not reachable because of heavy fighting.
Російські війська розбомбили, в принципі, великі оптові склади. Тому ті накопичення, які були в нас раніше, їх вже немає. Все розбито. В нас достатньо гуманітарних вантажів.
Meanwhile, Leonid Pashashnik, the head of the self-proclaimed Luhansk People's Republic, has said that he wants to hold a vote on joining Russia.
В ближайшее время на территории республики будет проведен референдум, на котором народ выскажет свое абсолютное, реализует свое абсолютное конституционное право и выскажет свое мнение по поводу вступления
Russia has supported the separatist rebels in Luhansk and neighboring Donetsk since an insurgency erupted there in 2014, shortly after Moscow annexed the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine. In talks with Ukraine so far, Moscow has urged Kiev to acknowledge the independence of Donetsk and Luhansk. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
The group of 7 economies have rejected Russia's demand to pay for Russian energy imports in rubles. After an online meeting, German energy minister told reporters that all G7 ministers agreed completely that this will be a one-sided and clear breach of the existing contracts. He said the payment in ruble is not acceptable and we will urge companies affected not to follow Russian President Vladimir Putin's demand. Now time for some more news from across the world. Parents in Afghanistan are thankful that the schools have opened for their daughters up to 6th grade, but they are eagerly awaiting the government's next notice for the resumption of secondary school classes in the country.
The new school year opened for millions of Afghan children last Wednesday. But female students in secondary schools and high schools are denied from attending classes until further notice. According to the Afghan Ministry of Education, only boy students from grade 1 to grade 12 and girls from grade 1 to grade 6 can attend classes. On Saturday, Afghan women's rights activists and school students took to the streets of Kabul demanding their rights to education. On Sunday, the Afghan Women's Organization for Peace and Freedom called on the Taliban rulers to reopen schools for girls.
We call on the international community, especially the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, to stand by us and support us, and to raise their voice for the education right of every Afghan girl.
The move has enraged the international community. Many countries have voiced their disapproval. Since the Taliban's takeover of the country on 15th August last year, public girls' schools and high schools had remained closed in many of the country's 34 provinces. The Taliban said the girls' schools will be reopened after the girls' school reforms are designed in accordance with Sharia, Afghan customs and culture. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Okay, time for some more quick look at news from across the world. Israel hosted the foreign ministers of United Arab Emirates, Morocco, Egypt and Bahrain during US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to the region. Blinken is currently on a mission to placate fears of Israel and Gulf Arab allies of the US ahead of a possible renewal of a global international nuclear deal with Iran. Israel and many of its neighbors are fiercely opposed to the deal, which they believe will embolden and enrich Iran. Brazilian president informally began his re-election bid at a Liberal Party event on Sunday. Supporters in Brazilian flag colors, green and yellow, chanted the new slogan, Bolsonaro, the people's captain. Former campaign of in Brazil only starts in August. Until then, election rules forbid potential candidates from asking for votes directly. The president has criticized latest opinion polls in Brazil, saying a liar poll published 1,000 times will not make the president of the republic. Thousands turned up at an outdoor rally of far-right French presidential candidate Éric Zemmour on Sunday. With the Eiffel Tower in the background, he said the turnout was a harbinger of major electoral surprise next month. Zemmour said his party, Reconquest, and supporters were the only inheritors of the right who love France, the people, work order, and identity. A pair of gunmen killed 2 people and injured 4 others in a shooting spree in central Israel before they were killed by the police. The identity of the gunmen was not immediately known, but police called them terrorists, a term used for Arab assailants. Security camera footage showed 2 bearded men opening fire in the city of Hadera before they are shot. And time now for the world of sports. Indian shuttler PV Sandhu notched up her second women's singles title of the season with a straight game win over Thailand's Busnan O in the summit clash of the Swiss Open Super 30 badminton tournament. Sindhu was playing her second successive final in the tournament, and the double Olympic medalist took just 49 minutes to get the better of the 4th-seeded Thai in straight games 21-16, 21-8. It was Sindhu's 16th win over Busnan in 17 meetings. HS Pranoy failed, however, to make it a Super Sunday for the Indian badminton fans as the unseeded Indian lost the men's single final of the Swiss Open. Pranoy had won the Swiss Open title in 2016 but failed to win it again on Sunday. With a couple of big wins in tournament, expectations were high from HS Pranoy in the final. However, his sensational run was halted by 4th seed Indonesian Jonathan Christie. The reigning Asian Games champion registered a 21-12, 21-18 win over the world number 26 Pranoy in 48 minutes. IPL 15 began with a bang on Saturday with Kolkata Knight Riders beating champions Chennai Super Kings. Today, the only game is being played between the 2 new teams of the tournament, Gujarat Titans and Lucknow Super Giants. Gujarat Titans are being led by Hardik Pandya, and KL Rahul is the captain of Lucknow Super Giants. The match is being played at Mumbai's Wankhede Stadium. Delhi Capitals fought from a difficult position to beat Mumbai Indians by 4 wickets with 10 balls to spare in their opening match in the Indian Premier League on Sunday. Akshar Patel smacked 38 out of 17 balls, and Delhi scored 179 for 6 in 18.2 overs for its 3rd straight league stage victory over Mumbai in IPL. Patel put on 75 off only 30 balls for the unbroken 7th wicket partnership with Lalit Yadav, who scored 48. For Mumbai, opener Ishan Kishan scored 81 not out of 48 balls, had helped the 5 times champion reach 177 for 5 in 20 overs. Kuldeep Yadav took 3 wickets for 18 for Delhi Capitals. Punjab Kings beat Royal Challengers Bangalore by 5 wickets with an over to spare in Sunday's run feast held at Navi Mumbai's DY Patil Stadium in a high-scoring contest. 413 runs were scored in 39 overs. Bangalore skipped Fat to Flesses hit 88 of 57 balls to help his side to a total of 205 for 2, with Virat Kohli contributing 41 and Dinesh Karthik hitting 32 not out of only 14 balls. Punjab reached 208 for 5 in 19 overs itself. Punjab's skipper Mayank Agarwal scored 32 of 24. Shikhar Dhawan made 43 of 29 and Bhanuka Rajpaksha scored 43 of 22. Shah Rukh Khan and Orien Smith came up with the late fireworks to ensure Punjab's win. Smith stunned Bangalore, hitting 25 not out of just 8 balls. World champion Max Verstappen bounced back from his Bahrain disappointment to steer his Red Bull to a thrilling victory ahead of Ferrari's Charles Leclerc in Sunday's Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. The 24-year-old Dutchman, who failed to finish due to a fuel problem in the opening race, won by just half a second after the pair swept positions in a tense battle through the final laps. It was the closest race finish since the 2020 Italian Grand Prix. Leclerc's Ferrari teammate Carlos Sainz finished third. Iga Swiatek, who will make a historic rise to world #1 on the WTA rankings on April 4th, has kept her winning streak going on in Miami. She defeated American Madison Bengal in straight sets in third round of the WTA 1000 event 6-0, 6-3. She will now move into the top spot, vacated by Australian Ashley Barty after the three-time Grand Slam champion announced her retirement last week. She'll be the first Polish woman to reach the ranking summit. And some news from the world of entertainment. It was the most sought-after night for the film fraternity around the world. The Oscars had some unusual moments, both in terms of winners and losers as well.
The 94th Oscar night belonged to Coda, a low-budget, independent film that also grabbed Best Film, Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor for Troy Kotsur. Troy is the second hearing-impaired actor in Hollywood history to get an Oscar. Best Actor award went to Will Smith for his sensitive portrayal of Richard Williams, the father and coach of famed tennis players Venus and Serena Williams. Jessica Chastain won Best Actress for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Best Supporting Actress was Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. Futuristic film Dune dominated the technical category. Based on the politics of exploitation of natural resources, Dune won the Best Editing, Cinematography, Visual Effects, Sound and Production Design. For music, director Hans Zimmer, it was the second Oscar after The Lion King. However, the most favorite film after nominations, The Power of the Dog, could only get Best Director for Jane Campion. Jane was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. This year's Oscars saw the return of the presenters, and there were 3. Overall, it was a knockout performance by Coda and Will Smith. Quite literally. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
I'm being called on.
And before we bring this bulletin to an end, let's take a quick look at the headlines also. Lok Sabha takes up Criminal Procedure Recognition Bill, passes Constitution Scheduled Tribes Order Amendment Bill 2020 related to Tripura, discussion on Finance Bill in Rajya Sabha. West Bengal Assembly witnesses heated exchanges over Birbhum violence. 5 BJP MLAs, including Shubhendu Adhikari, suspended. Pramod Sawant takes over as Goa Chief Minister for the second time. Prime Minister, Union Ministers and Chief Ministers of BJP-ruled states attend the oath-taking ceremony. Russia-Ukraine talks in Turkey. Kiev emphasizes peace without delay. President Zelensky says his country is prepared to become politically neutral. And Coda, bigger winner on Oscars night. Will Smith and Jessica Chastain get Best Actor and Actress. Dune gets 6 awards. Indian film Writing with Fire fails to make the cut. That's all in the news for tonight. We'll come back again tomorrow. Till then, keep watching Sansad Television. Thank you.